Hello everybody and welcome to Noita Spell Archives. I am Alias and today I'm going to be talking about these following spells. The material spells, sands, soil. Soil is a little bit different, but specifically the liquid materials. These spells can be very useful in a variety of situations. They all are quite handy in their own way. And I'll go ahead and show off the differences and their strongest abilities in this little video. So, to start off, I just want to show off the stat changes that these all provide. They all provide the exact same stat changes, being minus 0.25 cast delay and minus 0.17 recharge time. So, that is like a ton of reduction that you can get, especially if you start spell wrapping that. But to keep it simple for now, compare that to Chainsaw, for example. Chainsaw only has 0.17 recharge time. It doesn't even have any cast delay. And Chainsaw is considered one of the best spells in the game. Now, the reason why there is a difference between using, let's say, oil versus Chainsaw is because Chainsaw doesn't have an animation time. I'm going to show that off really quick. That's something that really needs to be shown. But let's go ahead and start off by throwing, how about oil onto our wand 1 here. And we'll go ahead and fire that. So that's what that looks like. It's firing quite effectively. Now I've built another wand here with comparable stats to our base wand. However, this one has a much higher cast delay and slightly lower recharge time. So, in theory, what this is reading oil, double spell, spark bolt into oil again, because the double spell needs to cast 2 things. So, that means that we are getting minus 0.5 cast delay, which completely nullifies all the cast delay on this wand, as well as minus 0.34 recharge time. So we've got a very minimal cast delay on that wand, which is great. Now this wand has a slightly lower recharge time, slightly higher cast delay, and you can see, well, we're going to go down to minus 0.5 cast delay, right? So in theory, this wand should shoot even faster because it's going to have 0 recharge time with minus 0.34. Or I guess it would be minus 0.4 on this one specifically. If you go into the minus on recharge or cast delay, it doesn't do anything. It's just zeroed out. So that's an important thing to note. I know this is a bit of a tangent, but this is like one of the first uses you will find for these things. So let's go ahead and cast them in comparison. This is the base wand. This one's got lower cast delay, higher recharge time. Shoots very effectively. It's a solid little wand. Now this one, it's ungodly slow. And the reason behind that is that this thing is actually, it has a very slow animation time. That's a hidden stat on various spells. Well, every spell in the game has it. Now, if I were to replace this with a Chainsaw, we still get 0 recharge time, but Chainsaw has a very low animation time, in fact the lowest in the game. So this thing is now going to rapid fire as fast as possible, and it'll completely ignore the cast delay. You can see there's an absolutely astronomical difference. And if I were to do that with this wand, you can see it's actually pretty much equal. It's slightly better to have this one because Chainsaw has spread on it. So these things, these materials do have really useful application in specifically spell wrapping. Just make sure you keep a close eye on the stats and you can figure it out. I have firm trust in you, you can do it. So that's the first thing that I wanted to show off. Now all of these work pretty much exactly the same. Acid's a little deadly because it can fire pretty close. Steven's gonna get mad if we're not careful. And yeah, that's a dangerous one to test out. It can also hurt you, so you gotta be careful with acid. Cement is rather intriguing. If it combines with water, it turns into concrete. You can also have it in its wet state and it doesn't do anything. You can't drown it if there's enough of it, but good luck making brick houses with that. It's not the easiest task. Blood is also very useful, because crit on blood is very handy and rather common as well. The main thing about blood, though, is that it's the only limited of this group, so you want to have unlimited spells if you're using this one, because 250 casts on a machine gun wand, which is what you're normally going to be using this with, is not enough. That said, you know, it works with vampirism. It's overall a pretty solid one. It's just situational, you know. It's not bad. But my bread and butter are oil and water. The reasons why I picked these ones are the same reason I like blood, and that's because you can stack crit on blood, which is where we're heading next. So, you can see I've got this wand prepared here, and it's a 2-cast wand. So, that means it's going to cast water as well as summon arrow, alright? With those two, they are going to crit on water, which is great. So water and all of these crit-ons, all of these various things, specifically oil, water, blood, they have a unique characteristic specific to material. They are both a material cast and a hidden modifier when they are paired. So for example here, let me just go ahead and show it off. So this right here, this arrow is going to apply wetness to this dummy here. So I can shoot it, and now if I go over here to my crit-on, it should crit. There you go. And it won't crit forever because that wetness only lasts a certain amount of time. But for example, if I have it like this, then I can just crit forever, which is incredibly effective. And you can see the water is nowhere near. It's pretty far away. Here, I'll even swap over to. Actually, I can't swap over to oil. I'll just drink the water over there, just to prove my point. That the water does not need to make contact at all. It just has to be paired, and that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Okay. So, now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and show off a more advanced wand build. So, this one has a damage plus and a homing mist on it. It's going to be a much more powerful wand. And you can see, we're going to show off a couple of things. We're going to show off spell wrapping with this, and we're also going to show off how crit on whatever stacks. So, let's go ahead and have that set up. And we'll need a double spell here. So what this reads, let me just go ahead and clean it up for you. What this reads is water, spark bolt with trigger. So those cast individually. And then this spark bolt with trigger casts all of these, which apply onto the slime mist. And this double spell wraps around to the front and grabs the water. So this should be doing, let's see. So it's going to be 10 times 5, so it's going to be 50 damage a shot. You can see that's what it's ticking for. Now, crit on whatever stacks. You can see that there's 100s in there now, which is absolutely absurd. It is very, very strong. And yeah, you can do some really nasty stuff with these materials. Now, you could use Water Trail to the exact same effect, but the problem with Water Trail is that it's going to make a big mess, and that's really not what you want. You want to have a nice, clean wand. And this is a great way of doing it. So keep an eye out for these materials. Alright, and there is one last little tip that I'm going to show off. This one you've probably seen from Fury Forged already, but I want to make sure I cover it too. So basically what it is explosive shot with a material of any sort is going to actually give you Trick Blood Money. Now, Trick Blood Money is a newer perk in the game. Blood Money is dropped when a death is on accident. So it's a pretty simplistic little tool, but it is incredibly powerful. You can see all I have to do is kill an enemy with this, and I'm going to get insane amounts of healing. Let's just go ahead and take a bunch of damage here. But yeah, you can see I'm getting it every time. Now, the one problem with this setup is that you are going to have trouble scaling this. You can see it's doing 325 damage, which is pretty respectable. That's a lot of damage, especially depending on how you set it up. So you can either stack more of these explosive projectiles, you can use piercing on your spark bolt with trigger or whatever you're using to deliver this. Oh yeah, that's a very important factor. These can actually damage you now, so be incredibly careful with this setup. You can get yourself killed very, very easily, as shown right there. And normally explosive projectile is actually safe. So here, I'll go ahead and show that off again so you can, I'm not taking damage to it. So the reason it's unsafe and the reason why Trick Blood Money works that way is because material is not a player-owned entity. So basically, that's allowing you to get that extra Trick Blood Money. And it is a very, very useful tool. As you can see, I'm going to be able to heal up like crazy here. And I was very, very low on HP, and now I'm back up to full. So those are the main uses of material. If I missed anything, go ahead and comment down below. And if you're interested in asking any more questions or suggestions for future spells that you want to see utilized, feel free to leave a comment down below. Come to my Twitch channel, talk to me there, at AliasBot on Twitch. I'll go ahead and make sure there's a link in the description. And that's going to be all for now. So I hope that this video was helpful to you, and have a lovely rest of your day.